Hi, GoCon. Um, because you brought it up, the business with this um, limestone trim band not being at the midway point between the windows, I wanted to explore a couple things with you because you mentioned it, so it must bother you a little bit. So let's just do two things. One, let's walk in closer. Get it to a point where it's sort of at eye level. Um, I'm just trying something here. So when you're in closer at this perspective, the distance between because this is mechanically this is a mechanical sort of perspective, it's not really doing justice. Um, but what I was saying was yesterday was the closer you are to the building, um, the less that difference. In other words, because this is further away from you, if you're up closer to the building, this will look shorter than this amount because this line is closer to you as a viewer and this one is further away, so it's gonna the perspective is gonna make this distance look a little bit shorter. So that's what I was getting at yesterday. But the more I looked at it, I thought, why not? So I was going to move it up to the top of the I was going to move the trim up to the top of the floor band to show you. And then when I did that, I think it was up a little bit too high. So that would be moving it up. I moved it up 10 inches first. So let's just look at that. So I just moved it up a random 10 inches. Oops. Okay. So there's what it looks like from the front. To me, I think it's a little bit too equal. I think it's kind of cuts your house into like a grid because it runs right through the center. And as I spun it around, of course on the side it's way above, but that doesn't matter. Way above the midline. As I went to the back, a couple things. One, I saw that it started to show here at the edge of the deck, and then I saw that it went, well, I'm going to say through the window. Obviously, it would be cut there and there. So I thought, all right, well, maybe 10 inches was too much. So I looked at the front elevation. Let's just undo here. Okay. And let's go into here. And it's currently right here at the eaves. So it's like 8.71, yeah, 8.719 if I moved it from where it is now. 8.719 if I just moved it to the top of the floor system. So all right, so let's just look at that. So you can determine whether or not, you know, like it bothers you, it coming in. One way to do it would maybe just to move it up the length, the width of this, you know, so to move it up just maybe 4 or 5 inches. We could look at that next maybe. But let me just show you. I'm just kind of recreating what I did by myself here a little bit ago. So so now we are still just above the deck level. So I'm thinking, you know, if you drop it 2 inches, maybe that'll bring you down to the deck level so you don't have to. My point is, I'm thinking stopping this right here would probably be the best bet because A, you don't want to run, obviously you're not going to run this behind the deck on both sides. Over here, you're already back at the garage eave height, which is lower. And I don't think there's any sense necessarily in running it across here. I mean, if this big window is splitting it anyway, it doesn't make sense. And I don't think we're going to be moving it down so far. Well, actually, the first version probably did have it under this, so you'd be paying for it, you know, across this whole section. So you can see why it's a little bit hard to pick where exactly to. So moving it down those couple inches, let's just do that. Pretty sure the deck is 2 inches below the house floor structure. All right, so let's look at this. All right, so actually right there, that at least aligns this trim band with, you know, the bottom of the eaves on the garage. So that's another good option, I think. Zoom out a little bit. I mean, it's pretty much right in the middle. So if you like that, it definitely achieves that. And then on the back, it's definitely underneath the deck. So you wouldn't be paying for it here. You'd be, you know, stopping it back at this corner, and, you know, you'd really just be paying for it across here. Now, we could move this independent. This obviously doesn't have to be at the same height as the rest of the house. So this one strip could be different. So let's just look at that real quick. I don't think. Oops. You know, I'd have to cut it here, but you could see how that looks. We could try it. That was moving at 2 feet. Let's move it down 6 inches. Move it down 6 inches. Of course, you know, again, we're just looking at it here and here. If you want to look at it removed, that's what it looks like removed. I don't think it needs it on the back. But so anyway, kind of rambling, but I wanted to show you those different options and why I picked where I picked it and what maybe another option would be. I don't think this option is a bad option, and I don't think not doing it on the back is a bad option either. So you'd be stopping at this back rear right corner, and yeah. So that's it.